American medical students of Tulane University posed outside an abandoned slave dwelling on what was once a plantation in Louisiana. The Whitney Plantation confronts painful history of slavery. 15 African American medical students makes headlines, making history by posing with their white coats and holding their fists high. The photo sparked and went viral across the world with the purpose of how far they've come and how far they have to go. Hello, everyone. This is Teresa Perkins, the editor of Exposure Spotlight Magazine, where your voice matters. And it gives me great honor to be here in the midst of three great people. They are medical students at Tulane University, and they have created and designed and organized a group called the 15 White Coats. So Russell, how's everybody doing? Before I ask Russell this question, how's everyone doing?
We're doing pretty good. Trying to get by
great.
day by day.
I'm sorry?
Just trying to get by day by day.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to make it, you know? Look, Russell, can you share with us, tell us how did you all create and started the organization, the 15 White Coats?
So the 15 White Coats started after, so last summer, my daughter and I went to the Whitney Plantation along with one of my best friends who came down to visit, Philip Thomas. He and I were getting our PhD out of the same lab. And so we took a trip down to the Whitney Plantation. And my daughter came along and, we experienced the plantation and, we got to walk through the same slave quarters that the photo was taken in front of. And after we left there, a conversation sparked between my daughter and I. She kind of interrupted the conversation Philip and I were having. And she was like, Dad. And I was like, what's up, Malia? And she told me, she was like, I finally get it. She's like, being a Black doctor in America is a big deal. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that forever. But of course, I also asked her like, why? And she was like, well, just think about it. Like, we just left a plantation. And there was a time when like Black people couldn't be free and they couldn't be doctors and lawyers and things of that nature. Okay. So I turned over to Philip and I was like, yo, like I had this idea. I think me and my classmates should come out here and experience this, but we should also take a photo in front of the slave quarter just to illustrate how far we've come as a people. And so, of course, I reached out to some of my closest friends, two of which are on here. And I presented the idea to them because this is kind of not one of those things that you could do alone because it's kind of controversial too. And so, of course, they were on board. They supported. They helped to organize it. And then we went out there. We experienced the plantation, and then we took those photos and shared them with the world. And the response we got was astonishing. And I don't think it was the response that we were shocked by. I think it was the way it was received. People being interested in a photo is one thing, but people being introspective about the history of America and just how far we've come along and how far we have to go, especially evaluating the times we're in now, definitely sparked our interest in building something bigger than just a photo. And so, of course, we got together, 5 out of the 15 of us got together and formed a company. And I'm sure we'll talk more about the company and what we're doing. But essentially, that all came from our inspiration and the photo that came behind it.
That is awesome. So tell me, how did your other colleagues that we have here, which is Rachel Turner and Sydney Labat, how did they end up joining the team or the organization rather?
Yeah, so as I stated, when you have these kind of ideas, especially in something like, the field of medicine, it can be controversial. Because I think to some degree we're kind of taught to keep your head down and just study and just, don't try to, infuse any culture or any of that. Just go to school. But I think med school is really tough in that sometimes you can lose yourself.
Yeah.
You could lose your identity and who you are. And so, when I had that idea with Philip on the car ride, of course I expressed it to the people I trust, Sydney, Rachel, Carrie, Gabrielle, Usanse, and a couple others. And they were on board not only to help organize it, but they were there to make sure that we actually executed it. Because I think people committed to this early on, and even some of the people who committed to going, they didn't. They ultimately decided not to come, because to some degree this is kind of controversial, to take your white coat and to expose yourself, and illustrate your blackness in its fullness, with such a striking image, can put you in a spotlight that some people just aren't interested in. But the bold ones were, and that's kind of how we got to where we are now.
That is awesome. Look, I really commend you guys on what you have done. Of course, I have more questions that I want to ask, but I want Rachel to kind of share her views for us, if she doesn't mind.
Yeah, no. So just piggybacking kind of off what Russell said, this all started out as just a photo, with no intention of it being anything more than that. And I kind of think as people started reacting to the photo and it started bringing about uncomfortable conversations about lack of representation within the field of medicine, we kind of sat there and we were like, we have an opportunity to really make a difference with what we experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was honestly humbling. And I think for me, I saw hope. And so we sat down and we were like, what can we do to make this photo sustainable so that it's making a difference 2 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now? I think Russell, Sydney, and I definitely have come to the agreement that this isn't something that we see short term at all. This is something that once we're doctors and we're in residency, we want to keep pursuing this. We want to be giving back. Hopefully, once we're doctors and then we're established, physicians in our careers, we'll be able to give back even more. And so I think this is really just scratching the surface of what our organization has the potential to do. But I definitely know that this is something that we're all super passionate about, and something that, while it requires a lot of work and attention, it's something that reiterates why all of us wanted to become doctors, and something that I think we all at the end of the day obviously really, really enjoy doing, and are super passionate about.
Oh, wow. Look, I really commend you guys. I had a conversation with you all earlier, and the story was I actually started out in pre-med. I went to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and you all, I would say around my first year, I found out that I couldn't stand to see people hurt. I couldn't stand blood. But I am saying this, I am so proud of you guys. You guys have something to be proud of yourself, of a great accomplishment that you are doing and have done. And then to make a statement with the photo, in which we're going to show this to those that are tuning in and listening to us. We want them to be more aware of what the purpose of this interview is and what the statement that you all as African Americans are making. Truly, this is such a great accomplishment and achievement. So Sydney Labat, let's hear from you. Give us your view, dear, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, so I think they pretty much covered it. I think everyone sort of hit the high points of what we've got going on, and the fact that we were kind of given this opportunity from an idea. One spark lit a fire, and it lit a fire quite literally around the world, and it was absolutely incredible. But once all of that hustle and bustle started to set in, we were definitely like, okay, so we need to organize and we need to make things happen and we need to move forward and we need to affect change. and this does not need to be for likes and retweets. And everyone was on one accord with that. That was absolutely the goal, and we've been moving and we've been working since then. We have several initiatives that we're pulling out. We receive donations. We distribute photos. We do all of these things in the name of inspiring the youth of tomorrow, inspiring those who are going to enter medicine tomorrow. Myself, we've been working on several different projects, but something I've been working on personally is working with children most recently within the last few days, and the world will get to see the product of that within the next few days. And it just sort of, just reflecting on that, it just sort of reignited a fire that has not dulled a single bit since we started. So just to think that not only has this grown from then, but just to remind myself that we have so much more to grow. It is going to grow so much more in the future. Like Rachel said, when we're established positions in our careers, things are going to continue to expand, and we're excited to continue to affect change in any way we can. And this is not something we see slowing down anytime soon.
That is great. Look, and you shouldn't, not at all. Look, you guys are on the right track. You just keep on moving and keeping on, okay? Now, I want to ask you this. Do you all look to add any more medical students or, to your group, to your organization? Russell?
Yeah. So we have reached out to a few folks. And believe it or not, we have some people who are helping us, that are helping the 15 White Coats remain sustainable, that are medical students, that don't shy away from the cause, whether it's helping us expand our social media reach, advocating for us to have more donations, helping in terms of getting our message out there. I think the beauty of this is that when we started this, there was sort of this undertone that we were in this for likes and retweets. And that's clearly not the case now, with the impact that we made, whether it's scholarships to students in various states that were graduating from high school, to sponsoring medical students going to conferences. We clearly aren't in this for likes and retweets. But we truly are in this to impact the next generation. I think what Sydney was talking about is about as valid as possible. And I'm sure you'll see it in the next few days in terms of this new content that we have coming out with this project we did with some children. It literally had my wife and I bawling last night before we went to bed, because it reminded us that I think sometimes you can get caught up in the white coat, the idea of having a nice house and a nice car. And you forget that, like, you can inspire a whole nother generation by simply being present, by being visible, by being reachable. And that genuinely changes the game. And that's really where we are. That the medical students who are advocating for us, the beauty of it is we didn't have to ask them to help us. And those are the kind of people you want to have around.
Right. They just came to you guys.
Yeah, they just came to us and was like, look, how can we help? We've even had some of the people who purchase photos and products from us be like, yo, I'll check it. I'll read y'all emails for y'all. I'll respond to emails for y'all. I'll put Excel sheets together for you. How can I help you? One lady in Port Allen called us yesterday and asked, can she just she bought a bunch of photos, like 100 photos, and said, I'm just going to walk around the city of Port Allen and simply just give out this photo and just like, I'm going to pay for it. And I think the beauty of that kind of work is just priceless. You can't buy that. And that's really what's furthering our cause.
Wow. Look, so since we're on that subject about donations, I would like you all to share how can someone actually donate to your organization, because honestly, again, and I'm probably going to be very redundant or repetitive on this, because it is just a great thing that you all are doing. And it's not only just for your organization, but the purpose of your organization is to help others that is trying to achieve goals such as yourself. So how can someone actually make a donation to your organization?
So on our website, we have a platform set up where you can see everything about the organization. You can see the mission. You can see who all is a part of the 15 White Coats. There's also a place where you can purchase photos, and then subsequently you can also donate however much you want. You can put a message. So when you go on the website, www.the15whitecoats.org, you'll see a header at the top where it says donate, and you can click that, and then it'll prompt you to the page where you can donate. And then also, there are people that want to donate, but purchasing the photos or soon to be other products that we will be releasing on the website, that's another way that's also donating for us. So those are our two main, I guess, avenues for donations, and they can all be accessed on our website, www.the15whitecoats.org.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Reese, another thing that I like to highlight is that, you know, the beauty of this company is that we aren't making $1 off of any of this.
Yes.
None of us are getting $1 in profits, not one single dollar. Everything goes back to scholarships, and giving out photos, giving Zoom talks, visiting with students. Schools themselves can go on our website and sign up for a poster, and we will send it to them for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That
they can
is
go on our
awesome.
website. So this is not a, you know, we're trying to make money, because every dollar, not $1 comes to our pockets. We aren't making not $1 in profit. Us singularly are not. Everything that we do goes back into the organization, 100%, and that's unique. Because I think generally when companies are started, the idea is to make profit, but our idea is to make profit so others can profit,
Mm-hmm.
and profit in a way that's generational. When you help a graduating undergrad student apply to medical school, that can change a generation.
Yes.
That's a whole different ball game, as opposed to, you know, let me buy you a new backpack or something. No, 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 no. Let's change a generation, and hopefully that'll increase, you know, the wealth in our community, in the long term. And also, you know, just the passion people have for medicine. A lot of the times, people have a passion for medicine, but the financial accessibility for medicine is high. I mean, like, it takes a lot of money to eventually become, just a medical student. People don't even know this, that generally people spend $3,500 to $10,000 to apply to medical school. To apply,
Yeah.
I didn't say once you get in how much you pay. No, you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical school.
Wow.
You spend over $3,000 to apply to medical school, and people don't know that. They don't know how much, you know, you got to pay for plane tickets. You got to pay for the exam. You got to pay for the MCAS application. You got to pay for a suit. You got to pay for somewhere to stay when you go to these interviews. That's costly. And if you think about the economic history of our communities, that makes it even more difficult. It's just another barrier that you have to hurdle. And that's kind of what we're trying to alleviate, is the financial aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we give you the access in terms of the financial aspect, that's one less thing you got to worry about. Now you can study, do well on these exams, and then get in. And once you get in, you could hopefully pay it forward and help somebody else.
Wow. That's just really, 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 really very, very, very. I can't even express it enough how awesome that is. You know, if we can just have more people like you all to be so concerned about others, because you made a very, very, very good point, Dr. Lode, that this would actually alleviate by you all helping someone else that may have an interest of being a doctor, but they're so caught up in the finances that they would not attend medical school or even start off in pre-med or whatever, you know, to get to that point. So this is really great that you all are, you know, assisting those that are trying to reach their goals to become medical doctors. That is just extremely nice, very kind and genuine. May God be with all of you, each of you, and even the other ones that are not present here today as well. We just pray blessings over each and every one of you all, because this is just so wonderful. And my heart is just so overwhelmed by the kindness and the genuineness that you have to help someone else. Because honestly, if we all can just have that love, because that's what, and this is, since we're talking about love, this is why some of the things that is happening on today. I want to ask you all, now, before I go into this question, but I do want to ask you this, Dr. Lode, is there an age limit of those that can reach out to you? Is there a certain age group or what have you, that you all are assisting, or does it matter, or however?
Nah, I mean, for us is, if we can help, we will help. And the uniqueness of our organization is that we can shape scholarships how we want, because we're a private company. We own the photos. We own everything that we're doing. We own the trademarks to resilience is in our DNA. We own it. So we can do it however we want. If we find some nursing student who's, troubled, we can generate a scholarship specifically for a nursing student or some nursing student, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. That's the beauty of this, is that there's no age limit. It's just us having the discretion, having the funds to do so, and then just understanding that we're genuinely making an impact, and those people are agreeing to make an impact on the next generation. So there's no limit. If we put a limit on it, then we're essentially saying that there's a cap on generational impact. And if you think about that, that's really the opposite of what the song said, that age ain't nothing but a number. You can have a 45-year-old who finally, his or her kids finally went off to college, and now they can go to college, and they may be in a tight spot trying to get through. Quick story, I just recently talked to a 43-year-old who's applying to medical school, African American male. At 43 years old, was like, man, I did 20 years in the plants, and I always wanted to become a doctor. So just talking to you is like inspiration. He was watching our Kelly Clarkson interview, and he was like, yo, I'm gonna do it. He's like, I had a means to do it, but I just wanted to talk to you because I needed to know that it was possible. So there's no limit.
And we'll be right back right after these messages. No charge. It's absolutely free, and you get a chance to win some great products. This will all take place starting Sunday, May 31st, and it will end on June 14th, so where you can pick up that gift and have it ready and prepared to give it to your loved one on June 21st. So once again, you want to follow us and subscribe on YouTube to Exposure Spotlight Magazine, as well as Facebook and Instagram. It will take place starting Sunday, May 31st, and it will end on June 14th, so where you can pick up that gift and have it ready and prepared to give it to your loved one on June 21st. You want to make sure that you comment by saying Spotlight. That's SPOTLIGHT, Spotlight. That will let us know that you have followed all three different businesses, which is Exposure Spotlight Magazine, Richardson Fashions, and Eye Candy Accessions. So you don't want to miss this opportunity. Great prizes coming your way. you can be that winner. So once again, you want to follow us and subscribe on YouTube to Exposure Spotlight Magazine, as well as Facebook and Instagram. You don't want to miss this opportunity. And if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to give us a call at 1-866-971-0444. Once again, this is your girl, Teresa Perkins of Exposure Spotlight Magazine. And what is that website, Dr. LeVay?
THE15 white, as in the color white, coats with an S.org. Or you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at the 15 white coats.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Look, I want to kind of just tweak a little bit. I want to get on the subject of what is happening in the society, in the communities today. And this is all across the U.S. I want to know, how has the COVID-19 affected you all by being African Americans and being African American medical doctors as well? How has the COVID-19, the pandemic, affected you all?
So it's actually funny that you ask. A few classmates of ours have worked on writing a piece that sort of talked about that, that hopefully will be out to the public soon, pending acceptance. But it's been hard, to say the least. One thing that we spoke about is that the African American community has been disproportionately affected by COVID-19, obviously. And we, as Black medical students, are often acting as liaisons between our family members, our friends, people in our community who are terrified of this virus, and the scientific information and just the misleading information that has been given out via media outlets, via news, via the government. So a lot of times we're sort of deciphering this for our families and our friends, and this is not the only task that we have to do at the time, you know? So thinking about my grandmother calling me saying that, Sydney, they're saying, they said last week I don't need to wear a mask, but they're saying this week I need to wear a mask. Me being a medical student and them trusting my opinion they're asking me, what do I need to do? So think about that in the middle of around noon during the day, and I've been studying since 6 a.m. So it's really a double duty, which hopefully people get to see, that piece that we are balancing the idea of trying to help our community in every way we can, while also trying to elevate ourselves and continue our education. Not only that, but we're also dealing with the trauma and the sadness that some of us may have been dealing with, and the worry from having members of our family and our community who are affected by this virus or who have lost their lives to this virus. So in the middle of all that, we're still I don't even know the word, because it's really a hard time, but we're still pressed to move forward and continue to elevate ourselves in our careers, continue to elevate ourselves in our movement with the 15 White Coats, continue to elevate ourselves in the Black Lives Matter movement, just to think that the riots that have begun since the murder of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, that's just another one that's added on. So to say that we are tired is an understatement. To say that we are angry is an understatement. To say that we are working is an understatement as well, though, because we are working in every way, shape, or form, whether that be with our own families, with our own communities, with the 15 White Coats, or with anything that has to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. So this has been tough, but it's not going to stop us. And that's the reason why we have each other. We talk. Russell, Rachel, and I, along with a few other classmates, we talk all the time, just checking in on one another. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the 15 White Coats sort of displays, is that sense of community, and that community is so important and involved in elevating ourselves and each other.
Wow. Dr. Rachel Turner, what is your view on the COVID-19? How do you feel that it has impacted African Americans?
So for me personally, Both of my grandparents tested positive for COVID.
Oh, wow.
And, my grandpa, he has diabetes. My grandma has pulmonary fibrosis and had a heart attack about a year and a half ago. That was unexpected. So I can say that before they were tested, I was aware of everything that was going on. I knew that, African Americans were being affected disproportionately by this. But I can genuinely say that when someone so close to you gets affected, it hits very different. I can't explain it, but you feel helpless. I cried a lot, not necessarily understanding, what the course of this disease is. There's so many unknowns. People's parents ending up on ventilators and they're alone in the hospital and not being able to be with them. I worried a lot. I can say, thankfully, my grandparents never had to go to the hospital. They've been managing their symptoms at home and they've been manageable since then. So I'm very thankful for that. But this whole pandemic has, for me, further validated why I want to become a doctor, simply put, to help others, and to also fight for equality when it comes to delivery of healthcare. That's something that's super important. And honestly, I feel like it's something that needs to be more heavily integrated into the medical school curriculum. Being a doctor isn't just about understanding the biological pathophysio, all the science about medicine. There's so much more to medicine than the science that makes it up. And I wish that as a nation or around the world that was more understood and there was more emphasis placed on it. I will say over the years, I feel like it's become more of a discussion and a topic, but there is racism that exists within the healthcare, and there are racist doctors, which ultimately affects the way that people receive care. So for me, it's just further grounded and validated why I want to become a doctor, how I see myself as a physician in the future, and how I personally want to deliver care to patients. But it's definitely, as far as Sydney said, it's emotionally draining. I struggle with studying. All of us are or were studying for our boards, so our first part of our medical licensing examination, in the midst of all of this chaos happening. And at what point is it okay to step back and say, I'm tired and I'm emotionally fatigued? So being able to recognize, feel your emotions, but then, okay, sometimes you got to put them aside and put your head in the books. So I think for all of us, finding that balance and figuring out how to balance it has been very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Lede, let me ask you, so touching bases on racism and with the COVID-19 and of course with the protesting, what do you think, or, as far as how, do you feel that people will still be affected?
I think it's inevitable. I think it's a hard truth to take in that things will change. I'm hopeful that things will change as a function of, the Black Lives Matter movement. What the 15 white coats is doing, what a bunch of different people are doing. I think there will be some progress, but I also know for sure that there will be some resistance to progress, and I know that because of two different short stories, real quick. Today, I had to go ship off some orders and some T-shirts for the 15 white coats. And I was in line, and there were two cops talking. And one of them joked and said, well, I guess now we got to start saying sorry when we kill somebody's child.
What?
That's it. That's it. And I turned around and I was like, bro, you cannot be serious right now. Come on. Even, I had to tell him, even if that's your thought process,
What?
why did you have to say it right now in a post office?
Yes.
Why was it necessary?
Just recently,
like 30 minutes before this started.
Wow.
So, and I think the other one is, I think there is something changing and it's unique. And I actually want to write about it. So a couple of days ago, maybe it was Saturday morning. Yeah, it was definitely Saturday morning. Um, I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And I came to my computer to start writing because we were writing this piece, the piece that Sydney was just talking about. And I woke my wife up crying. I was in here crying, like sobbing uncontrollably. And I haven't cried like that since, I don't know, maybe when I came back home from a deployment or something. But, so my wife was like, usually she'll be like, come on, you got to put it together. You got to get it done. But this time she asked me, how are you feeling? Like, what are you feeling? And then I told her, and it was like one of those rare moments where I actually just expressed my feelings. And then that same day I talked to my neighbor, and he and I stood outside for like 2 hours. And he was crying, but he was also expressing his feelings. And then I realized that something was happening. And I think it's happening in a lot of different places. Black men's feelings are being heard. And that's a magical thing, because for so long, even going back to slavery, Black men were taught to be strong horses, beasts, and just go out there and be strong and just bear down and work, 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 work. And now somebody's saying, holy smokes, y'all got feelings and we need to listen to it. That's magical. Like, we actually setting up a thing in my church where a bunch of the Black young men and older men are coming to my church just to talk about our feelings, how we're feeling, how we're coping with what's going on in this world. That's magical, because I can't remember in my lifetime, I'm 34 years old, other than my wife asked me the other day, somebody saying like, yo, how are you just feeling? What are you feeling? That was amazing just to hear that. Like, I was like, wow, I actually get to say that. So that's happening. And I think that's meaningful, because over time it'll soften people's heart to realize like they're people, man. Like, Black men, Black women, just Black people in general are people. They're people. They're human. They're not animals. They're not some otherly being that you got to treat as though they're like cattle or something like that. No, they people. They got feelings. They got experiences. They want to laugh. They want to joke. They want to cry. They want to live. And that's a meaningful thing that's happening. That's being it's being undercovered, but that's okay. I think it happening is the most important thing. Whether or not it gets covered is that's trivial.
Wow. Look, this interview has been wonderful. And I think what has taken place across the United States has affected a lot of people of all kinds. And I'm just one of those believers that two wrongs don't make a right. And we all have to pray. That is number one, because God does answer prayers. But most of all, too, we need love. And I think if more people show love in this world will be a better place. But we need to continue to pray for one another, no matter what the circumstances or situations may look like or seem to be. But I want to say thanks to you all, to each of you, rather. This interview has touched me in a mighty way. Honestly, this is history for me, to be able to interview three beautiful people that are African Americans that are medical doctors. I am honored, and I will cherish this for a lifetime. And again, when I first saw you, Dr. Russell Leday, and I'm not sure, but I think it was Sydney LeVay, that was on CNN. It's like God woke me up purposely just to see that. That was the first thing I saw was you guys. And then to hear that you attend Tulane University, and I was like, wow, they're from my home state, right here around the corner. Immediately, I sent you, Dr. Leday, I sent you a message in Messenger. I mean, because my heart was just overwhelmed, because when I saw that, it did something to me. And to see that you guys had this vision to go to the plantation and take this photo that impacted and that touched every person that knows about this. And those that don't, they one day will, because I believe that God has a purpose for you all in some kind of way to make a statement and to help someone else, to let them know that they can be whatever they want to be. And the sky is only the limit. And I learned from my father that you can only stop yourself from reaching your goal. Only you. But we want to be an example and a mentor for others to let them know that they can achieve their goals.
They can.
Yes. So again, I want to say thank you guys so much. And is there anything else that you all would like to share before we end the interview?
Thank you for taking the time and for learning about what we're doing and wanting to share your platform with us to further our mission and what we want to do. It really means a lot, and we definitely are super appreciative, and we really did enjoy this conversation given the circumstances and everything that's going on in America right now.
Amen. Absolutely. You, Dr.
We appreciate
LeVay?
Oh, I was just saying we appreciate you again. Thank you so much. And the only thing I would add is to stay tuned, because once again we're expanding in ways that we didn't even know we could, but we're getting bigger and we're getting better. So hopefully we get to reach someone new soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
Thank you
will,
so much.
and you have. What did you say, Dr. LeVay?
I just want to thank you so much, for, I think the thing that's really going to stick with me is that, we were supposed to do this way back in January, and I was like, I don't know, maybe Miss Teresa forgot about us or whatever. And then I realized, like, nah, she ain't forget about us. She didn't forget about us.
No, not at all.
And that means a lot, because, this work that we're doing is double duty, like Sydney said, it's double duty. It's not difficult. This work is difficult, and medical school is difficult, and we're trying to swallow it all at the same time. And believe it or not, we all constantly praying to God to help us, because this is a lot. Like, this is a lot, but it's also something that we had one of our mentors, Takima. We were talking to her, and we realized, like, look, God left this on our lap, and He left this on our lap because He knew that we were capable, and so we can't let Him down, and we gotta keep on striving and finding our strength in Him and in the movement, and just not give up, because our ancestors didn't give up.
Amen. That's right. Look, you all, thank you once again, but I would like for you all to share, Dr. Russell, I guess you could share with everyone again if they would like to make a donation to your organization that is helping you all to achieve the goal that you have in helping others. So please share that information once again of what they can do to make a donation to your organization, please.
So you can go to our website, www.the15whitecoats.org, and donate there. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the 15 White Coats. And also just share our message. I think you can Google us and you'll find our Kelly Clarkson interview. At some point, you'll be able to Google this interview we did with Exposure Spotlight. And there are a myriad of other interviews we've done on CNN, MSNBC, NPR, People Magazine, you name it, Washington Post. You name it. If you Google the 15 White Coats, trust me, you won't have a lack of links. So just share our message, share our group, and we're reachable. You can reach us.
All right. Well, thank you all so much, and much success to you, to each of you, and many blessings. Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.